So we have a child support story time from the point of view of the child. This woman says, Burb, I have a story for you, and it's about child support. Granted, I'm not from the US, I'm Norwegian, so I'm not sure if you're interested. And I'm like, let's hear it. She says, it's taken me a long time to fully understand that I'm not the problem. He's just a person. And your videos helped me start my deprogramming journey. So I decided I wanted to share. Yay, thanks for sharing. She says, so I have a runaway deadbeat, and you need some context here. My father is former military. He met my mom while he was in it. They did not have a good relationship, and he used her like a wife appliance until my mom decided she wasn't going to be done dirty like that. So he ran off to his parents and sent them to make her sign away her parental rights. Fun fact, the papers weren't even legally binding, so we're dealing with some dumb people here. My mom obviously stood her ground, but didn't want to risk him going completely flake. So despite him running to the other side of the country, she tried to keep things amicable so I'd still have a dad. That did not happen. My mom agreed to let my dad pay $200 in child support as I grew up. This is way less than he legally would have been made to pay, and he still made her foot the bill for plane tickets for the 4 visits I had with him up until he got himself a new wife appliance, a Polish woman who he had my younger sister with. My father would often tell me I was ungrateful and would ditch me on his wife 2 times I visited when I was 7 and 14. The last time I saw him was when I asked why he hated me and told him I wished he was more involved. I wanted to talk to him alone, but his wife refused. And when I told him how I felt, she cussed me out and told me when I was 8, I called him in a rage and told him to never talk to me again. It was my birthday and he'd forgotten, but yeah, I was the entitled one. So I decided if I was entitled, I would be entitled all the way. My mom was financially struggling, and my dad comes from a well-off family and has a high-paying job. So when I turned 15, I filed for proper child support with my mom after a long conversation where I broke down and told her everything from how his wife treated me and how angry I was at him. He had to pay $600 in child support after that. But that's not the good part. You see, when I turned 18, I was still a petty gremlin, and I decided to talk to my counselor because I couldn't afford my bills and needed support. This angel of a woman then informed me I was legally entitled to continue support while pursuing an education. So naturally, I went to NAV and filed the forms. Cue my father starting a legal battle, hiring multiple lawyers to avoid paying, which unfortunately did not go his way, as a year later, the state came back and ruled in my favor. To this day, I'm still receiving child support because of the back pay he got while refusing to pay child support. And this part right here, where she says, I'm a petty gremlin, I was still a petty gremlin. I do not believe that this woman is a petty gremlin. I believe that she knew that her father was falling down on his responsibilities and that he needed to be held accountable because he wasn't going to just do it out of the kindness of his heart. So I don't think that this is petty to hold a person accountable for their responsibilities. She says, I'm 22 now. I work at a dog school and working on getting an advanced degree and have no debts. His money is still paying my bills as his responsibility as a father. I'm sad that I can't go back and make my mom get full child support from the start, but I'm glad I could force him to step up anyway. And I'm like, this is amazing. Thanks for sharing. She responded with, I'm happy I could. I'm really grateful to your videos and just want to thank you for opening my eyes to red flags and behaviors I was accepting from men when I shouldn't have. This is the first time I'm sharing this story, and I'm honestly really happy to be able to tell someone about my petty revenge. And I do just want to say that I do not believe that you are being petty. I know that it might feel that way. Holding someone accountable is not pettiness. This is what they should have been doing. And you, as a child, shouldn't have had to force your dad to do the right thing because you didn't ask to be here. But as a child, a growing child, growing up through your teens and going through school, you need and deserve support. That's what they're supposed to do. So I just wanted to share that. And to anyone that is listening, if you have a story time, reach out to me at Bourbon Bougie on Instagram or my Reddit inbox. And I will love to hear your child support story or how this page in this community might have helped you. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. I had a 22-year-old young lady who started sending me a story time. And before I even had a chance to read it, she sent me this message. She says, now that I'm actually thinking about it, maybe I just want advice on whether I should lower my standards or what. She says, laughing my butt off, please don't share this. I don't want people to come for me, because she knows how people are on the internet. And this is one of the reasons why I try to do the things that I do and say, to have some grace and empathy for people, especially young women who were never taught how to date. This woman is 22 years old. This young lady is 22 years old. And I'm just like, I would have kept it anonymous. And then I asked her to talk about her trepidation with putting this story out, even anonymously. Eventually, she said, go ahead and share anonymously, but I just wanted to point that out. These are real people that share their stories. And a lot of times, if you are not taught how to date or what red flags to look out for, you can easily have bad situations. So let's just hold space for women to share so that people are not shamed into silence and other folks can't learn from their mistakes. And she says, I have a story time of dating in the UK. If you share this, please make it anonymous, but I've changed the details and stuff. She says, I'm a 22-year-old student in the UK. I'm from an immigrant family and was raised to be very heavily involved in academia and church. So when I wasn't in school, I was either at church, home, or the library. I've never dated, both because I never saw any use for men. My mother always instilled in me that romantic relationships were the least fulfilling relationships of them all. I have never found men funny, entertaining, or nice to be around. They are boring, lack intelligence, both emotionally and intellectually, and women overall are just so much more lively and lovely to be around, except for my dear younger brother, who I love very much. Anyway, I decided randomly to get into dating one day. I do get approached like once a week. I always give them my Instagram, then block them because you don't know what man is dangerous. But this time I decided to keep talking to this one guy who I gave my Instagram to. I had seen him around campus and he seemed nice. Not even 10 minutes after we started talking, he made jokes about coming over and tying me up and kidnapping me, unaliving my friends, and being my future boyfriend. I immediately shut it down and sent the screenshots to my friends. We all collectively decided I would ghost him and then block him. What in the world kind of jokes do these people come up like? Why? How are their brains working? Or is like, do they get pre-scrambled or something? That is a wild joke. Okay, she says this didn't happen, as in she didn't block him. Okay, because she says the next day he kept asking what my schedule was. I let him know I was pretty busy and was going to run some errands and do some shopping. He said he'd love to accompany me, and I stopped responding. However, he managed to find where I was and intercepted me coming out of a shop. Now, I'm a very blunt person. I said what he was doing was annoying, and he apologized, but I didn't know what else to do. I let him tag along. Whenever we went into a store, he would pull out his card and pay for stuff. I started putting extra things in my cart. I went into the Superdrug, a makeup store in the UK, and put about 200 pounds worth of makeup in the cart just so he would buy it. Had to admit, it wasn't my proudest moment, but hey, if he was buying, who am I to pass up such a perfect opportunity? At the end of the night, I had bags full of shopping. This may seem far-fetched, but I assure you I am 100% telling the truth. He thanked me for spending time with him and walked me back to my dorm. We kept talking despite the red flags he was displaying. Like I said, I'd never been in a relationship before, so maybe I was looking through rose-tinted glasses, but I liked the attention and he was paying for everything, so who was I to complain? The only thing I was overtly saying he was annoying me with was how clingy he was, how he put me on this pedestal whenever he talked about me to his friends, how he didn't seem to have any hobbies, how he was always available and always wanted to know what I was doing. Honestly, I should have ended things right then and there, but whatever. A few weeks passed and he took me on this great date. I'm very much an introvert when things went along smoothly. After that day, he wanted things to move way too quickly, though. I made sure to tell him I was abstinent until marriage, which he seemed okay with, but then would ask me to come over, would send me links to websites saying that abstinence doesn't include kissing, which for other people it might, but for me, it definitely does. My friends all pointed out that these were red flags. He was trying to get me to come over and get my guard down or whatever. I made it clear to him I was 100% waiting for marriage and no one would ever change that. He said he only dated for marriage and people need to become compatible sexually. I said, that's fine. We don't have to continue dating. I'm fine with moving on as I know a lot of people in this day and age don't align with what I align with. He said no, said it was fine. Whatever we moved on. I'm sorry, he was fine with whatever we moved on. He kept trying to put the idea in my head to get into a relationship after 3 weeks. I kept shutting it down. He sent me screenshots of his friends asking why we weren't already together. I vehemently told him that I'm fine being single, that in fact, I very much like being single. And if a man isn't contributing to my life, then why should he be in it? He told me that he doesn't believe in 50-50, but also a woman should be able to provide for herself. I told him absolutely, but if a woman can already provide for herself, why would she need a man in her life? He took that as an invitation to buy me things I didn't need or want, expensive jewelry and clothes. I literally flat out told him I'd rather him pre-order the next Hunger Games books than spend money on expensive stuff I didn't want in the first place. He thinks all he has to do is throw money at me and I'll like him. Bearing in mind he's a 5 out of 10 at best, obese and 5'7". Looks don't really matter to me, as you can probably tell. Anyway, this irritating behavior continued until I had enough and called it quits, saying I needed to focus on studying and we weren't really compatible. He'd probably do better with a gold digger than a quiet introvert. A mere few days later, he was blocked. I couldn't be bothered to try and keep up a friendship with him. Lo and behold, he was in front of my dorms that very same night. Luckily, I was walking back with a friend, and his friends were following me on Snapchat and Instagram. I unblocked him and asked him to leave me alone. And all he keeps asking me is why I blocked him in the first place. If we can still be friends and work things out. What did he do? What he did wrong? He doesn't get that while he has money, he doesn't have anything else going for him. Then she says, I don't know, maybe I'm too picky, but oh well, pledging to another year of being single anyway. And then we get to this part where we already talked about it, where she was about to like back out of me doing the story time. Now I'm jumping back into the conversation with her. And I'm like, talk about your trepidation in sharing your story, even anonymously. I was like, do you already know what you should do and don't want people to say it? And then she's like, maybe I know people are going to say, well, you accepted him buying all that stuff for you. So obviously he's going to think that's the way to win you over. And then I'm like, you're 22 though. And then she says, but makeup is expensive. I don't know. I wasn't going to turn down a good offer. And then I asked her, did your mom ever talk to you about this stuff? She says, stuff like not taking gifts from men. She says, pretty much it was just stay away from men until you're ready to get married. And then I was like, exactly. That's why these conversations are valuable. It's not fair to hold you or any other person responsible for the lessons we weren't taught. That's the reason why women like me are having these discussions, because so many moms are setting their daughters up by just saying, stay away from men. And that's not enough to protect young women and girls from the dangers of men. That just allows men to be able to, do what he did. All he was doing is love bombing her and moving way too fast. And she didn't have the wherewithal or the sights to spot that kind of thing. This man was love bombing her. He was doing all this shopping for her, trying to buy her expensive things, wanting to spend like way too much time with her way too soon. And over here, She's saying that he's putting her on a pedestal. He doesn't have any hobbies. He doesn't really talk about his friends. He doesn't have anything going for him. So he's trying to get his hooks into her quickly so he could get control of this situation. And she doesn't really see love bombing. That doesn't really come to mind. But she sees that something's not right with the fact that he doesn't have anything else going for him. And she knows that she should have blocked him a while ago. But she's like, cool, I got this makeup. And that's how these dudes know. They know how to get in good with a woman, like by dangling candy or some ice cream or something. And that's what he did. And that is what we have to keep highlighting, ladies. And this is the reason why I said the things that I said at the beginning. Because if you don't have a mom that tells you these things, if you don't have a big sister that pulls you to the side and explains that this is how they get in your good graces really early on, you could be susceptible to this type of thing. And like I said early, it is challenging. No, I'm not going to hold young women and even older women. I'm not going to hold them to account for lessons that they weren't taught. So instead of just telling young girls and young ladies to just keep their heads in the books and stay away from boys, actually give them some lessons and some pointers on things to avoid where it comes to these men. Okay, join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this story time. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. I know this post will hit home for some of us because we do have some parents in the network. This is in the parenting subreddit. She says, last sleepover my daughter will ever have. So she says, my daughter went to a friend's for a sleepover with another friend. Will not ever be happening again. They are 11 years old. She told me there were security cameras in her friend's room. When asked about it, she was told by the parents they were for security purposes and that they were turned off. My daughter could tell they were still on because the light was still on, so she placed a shirt over them. The parent came into the room, removed the shirt, didn't say anything, and left. She's smart as F and called me to come and get her, but I feel absolutely disgusted right now and do not know what to do about this. She did not get changed in the room, but her friend did. The mom is a respected member of the community and is involved in the school system. I'm trying to wrap my head around why they would possibly need 2 cameras in their 11-year-old's room, who is very well behaved and not involved with drugs or sex. There could be a possible medical reason, but even with that, when you have 2 other children in your care, this is absolutely effed up to me. My daughter felt like their house was a kidnapper's house, and I have never been more proud of her for following her gut, but also terrified. I feel like I have a responsibility to do something about this, at least let the other mom know. But from past experiences, I know things like this are not easy, and there are a lot of people who would rather just turn a blind eye. What the F do I do? She says, update. I have spoken to the other friend's mom and told her what I was told. She will be talking to her daughter to get her perspective as well. There was only 1 camera in the room. Their home had multiple cameras outside the house, garage, outside, and inside. I have spoken to the mom in question. She called me and told me there was a monitor they have had in there for years. It's in their daughter's room because her room is above the garage and can be accessed through the garage. She said it's inactive and not used to watch anyone, and that she didn't even think about how it would come off to other people because it's just always been there. This is the very first sleepover her daughter has had, and apologized for making mine feel uncomfortable. Her husband works away a lot, so I understand all the cameras for security. However, I still feel weird about the situation. The mom says she wishes my daughter would have told her it made her uncomfortable and they would have put her in a different room. I mentioned how did she ask about the cameras and covered them and how she covered them off, and she said the mom came back in and uncovered them. Mom denied this and said they have just fallen off because she didn't do that. Mom was very apologetic and respectful and was not defensive or dismissive. Given the information that I have, I am comfortable with the choices I have made. If it were my daughter who undressed in the room, I would be making a different call. I think at this point I have done my part and I feel somewhat okay about the situation. This was a learning experience for everyone, and we have talked quite in depth about this as a whole family. My daughter does not want to go over there again and will not be. I'm extremely proud of her for realizing she was uncomfortable and not staying somewhere she did not feel safe. I have discussed all of this with her, and she is also happy with the choices that I have made and who is contacted. I am very proud of this family. This mother has empowered her daughter to feel safe, to create boundaries, to speak up for herself, to not just be uncomfortable and then just go along with it just to keep a friendship or something like that. The girl was uncomfortable, and it takes a lot of encouragement. It takes a lot of knowing yourself to feel confident enough to call your mother and say, I am not comfortable in this situation, as an adult, as an older teen, let alone someone that is 11. So that is good. That shows that this mother has given this daughter a voice. She trusts her daughter. She knows what she has taught her daughter. She's prepared her. And it takes these types of things, because as she gets older and she's out in the world, she's in college or whatever, she's away from home, she'll know how to get out of situations where she feels uncomfortable. She'll know also that her mother trusts her, that if she needs something, and whereas some other parents might not believe their kids or whatever, she knows that she can trust her mother. This was a great story to me. And I think that we need to have these kinds of conversations with our own children so that they can be empowered this exact same way. Dear Custer says, the info is that her daughter was told not to worry because they were off, but it is obviously a lie since they came in and removed the shirt. That alone is weird and inappropriate, especially since one of the girls was changing clothes. Emma says exactly this. Growing up, I had a friend who had seizures, most frequently at night. Her parents had a camera monitor in her bedroom so that they would be alerted if she started seizing. The major difference is that they were completely transparent and upfront about it with me and my parents, showed us exactly where it was and turned off the video part, but kept audio during sleepovers and gave me and anyone sleeping over the option to sleep in a different room that wasn't monitored. I'm less concerned about the cameras being there, although I'd want a good explanation, and much more worried about trying to conceal them and dismiss concerns. Homeschooling Dad says, yeah, while the cameras are definitely sketchy, the biggest issue is lying about them being off. Trish Loves Dolphin says, and not only that, they were being monitored. Otherwise, they wouldn't have known to come in and remove the shirt. Snoopy is Cute says, I'm so sorry your daughter went through this, but it sounds like you're doing a great job teaching her about boundaries. I would absolutely recommend that you tell the other mom. Legally, they can do whatever they want in their home, but it's not cool to watch and or record other people's children. Did you speak to the parents or just pick up your daughter? If so, what did they say? And then the OP says, my daughter texted me her safe word, meaning she wanted to leave. I text the mom saying I was coming to pick her up as she wasn't feeling good, and that's pretty much all that was said. Cobra Rex says, just a thought, using a safe word might be more effective if you came up with a reason to pick her up unrelated to your daughter. If you say you're picking her up because she isn't feeling well, that still implies that she contacted you to pick her up. You can say something came up and you need to pick her up to make things work in the new situation. Otherwise, she might as well just text you that she wants to get picked up. And then the OP says, thank you. We are new to this. The point of the safe phrase, rather, was for when she was calling me and asking me to do something. I told her if her friends are ever bugging her to call me to ask for permission to go to a park, etc. If she doesn't want to, she starts the conversation with our safe phrase. This lets me know she wants to say no. This is the first time she's ever texted to me, so we will definitely be exploring this further. I was caught off guard and didn't know what excuse to use as it was 1 a.m. Whew, that's totally understandable and better than not having anything. Good on you and your daughter for adapting in the moment. I would say you don't have to be detailed with the excuse. Keep it broad. And if you feel the need to, you can say it is time sensitive, or you can explain later. Then think of an excuse for later if they ever bring it up. And then lurk mode off says, what the above commenter said was my first thought too. Just an idea for next time. You can tell the other parent something like, we're having a mini emergency in my family and I need to come collect child. Okay. See, the reason for these conversations, it plants a seed in other parents' minds on what to do in an emergency like this and how to prepare your child if you even are having sleepovers with your children. In this day and age, things are just too sketchy. Our children have never slept over. Our children have always stayed in our homes at nighttime. So let me know, do your children have sleepovers? Do you ever have children over? Let us know. Let us know in the comments. Let's get a conversation going. Do you have safe words? What do your children say? Do your children have cell phones? Join the conversation. Let me know what you think about all of this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. And if you are not yet following, go ahead and smash the follow button.